All right. So let's do this fixture cap. So I think we determined that it's a metric one, right? Yeah, it's metric. So I need my metric template for this fixture cap. And I need that PDF. I think I have my PDF downloaded, so let me go to it. My fixture cap, isometric. So I have this one up on my other screen. If I just look at it and talk through it, it is going to be a front and right side. I'm going to do it as, sorry, front and top. So I'm going to do this as my front surface. The way it's sitting here and driving me towards picking this surface is front. And then top down will be my eyeballs, kind of right on the apex 12 o'clock of this, where that hole is in the top of that. That'll be my top view. And the right side view is the one we're eliminating because it doesn't add any additional details for this particular part. And I would say in a lot of times when I have like kind of a round part, this is a half round part. Um, it's a good. I think of a lot of round parts are two view parts. Sometimes they're front and right sides, and sometimes they're front and tops, depending on. But but a lot. I think of like we you as when you work with machinists, you do a lot of like shaft details, like round shafts, which are kind of look like pipe or something. Those are usually shown kind of in a front and a right side view. You get the round, but anyway, those are two view objects. This one is unique, and it might be hard to see why I would only do two views, but if we drew out the third one, we'd probably realize there's not much going on here that and what you can do to determine that is you could make a rough sketch on paper. That's not a bad idea to think. How do I determine what views it are? Well, you can always do like a rough like sketch of what it would look like, and you can determine, oh, that right side view is just kind of little and weird and really mostly all foreshortened in my view, and it just doesn't give me a lot of true lengths. So that's why the dimensioning doesn't end up stacking on it too much. You might get a height dimension, but that's something you can put in the front view anyway. So yeah, all the features would kind of be hidden. Like in the right side view, I would have this hole hidden, that hole hidden, this whole inner rectangular slot would be hidden. So it's just like this right side view is kind of saturated with not great data to dimension and a lot of hidden view stuff that doesn't add clarity to my drawing. So. But if I do think about what I need for, width and height in the front view, let me see what I've got. This is by radius here. So 110 millimeter radius. So that would be 220 out at least to the ear. Well, 300, this is a better one. 300 millimeters from hole to hole. And then I just need the radius of the round, this round on the edge here. Sometimes you call it a fillet, but this would be definitely just considered a round. And I would almost call this like an ear on this part, these two little tabs that are flat. And so 300 millimeter plus their radius, and this looks like it's a 60 and typical, meaning on both sides. So 300 plus 120, 420. Yeah, so 420 millimeters wide by whatever height this is. It's this radius, 110. So that's definitely my rectangle that fits in, 420 by 110. And then the top view is going to have the width as the same, the 420, but it's going to now have the depth associated with it. And so the depth of this, I hope, is kind of given. The ear itself is 120, and then it's 15 on each side of the ear. That's typical, meaning all the way around. I might not use that kind of dimensioning on I likely won't use this kind of dimensioning, these typical dimensions. I'll use the dimensions, but I won't use the typical call out. So that's like another 30 plus that. So 150 is going to be the depth of that. Okay, so I feel like I have, and that's the only two projection windows I need. I don't have to do the miter window, so I don't need that right side view to be over and down. So let's just draw in the front view and top view. And I'll put that up on my other screen and go over my CAD. Open up a metric template. Think it's going to be on the A3 size sheet at a half scale. So I'll check it to that once I build the model space in the one-to-one here. This is going to be so. What's that? Oh yeah, I can start testing. True. Good. Thank you for reminding. Otherwise, I will forget. I'll do a quick save as, show up in my template file. So I'll do my save. We're in week 6. This is my fixture cap. It's going to be an ortho in class though. Okay, so now I'm ready to start with some construction work. Yeah, you might, if you did download my template, the only thing I haven't cleaned up is that if you go over to the, there'll be some dimensions here to delete. So when you turn on your, if you're using my templates, I end up still forgetting to delete my dimensions before I share the template. They're just on there because on one assignment while you're creating your templates, I just had the measurements. Kind of helpful. So I should make it. You don't have what? Well, is your dimension layer turned off? Maybe. I think I usually have the dimension layer. I shouldn't have it turned off, but I do. So if you turn that on, there's probably some, and they will have been like added to the paper, not into the viewport. They were just on the paper. Yeah. So if you're using that, just delete them. What I need is 420 millimeters by 110 is what I decided. So it's just really long, not very tall part. And then I need a top view for that. Maybe I need it to be the same 420. And this one I decided is 150 millimeters because it was the 120 ear width depth plus the 15 on each side is 30 plus 120 is 150 is how I determined that. And even if I did have to go to the right side, it's always just good to check yourself that make sure you've got these in perfect orthographic alignment, meaning that, end to end, left side to left side, they line up. Make sure that right side to right side, they line up. Make sure that if those are shifted slightly and then you project them over and around, that'll distort the right side view. Yeah. And then I just need to take a look on my paper and see if I've got this. So it's going to be at a half scale, I think. So I'm going to unlock my A3 size, go to a half scale, and just make sure that I have room. Yeah, that was just a guess at how wide the part that is, but that'll work at a half scale. I'll lock that down. See it here. If I turn off the grid a little bit, that's what it's going to look like. I'll have room for dimensions here and here. Yeah. I just think I determined that because I think I'd have to do like a quarter scale here in order for it to work. And not that that would be wrong. Like this, so I think technically a quarter scale is maybe a little, and maybe I'd make a custom scale to fit the A4 size sheet, but I think I'll just do A3 and then at a half scale and keep it simple on this one. So what's that? You double scroll click, it'll bring it zoom extents. Yeah, 8.3 at 1 and 2 is what I've got there. Yep, totally. Now I'm going to start detailing this here. So I think I'll probably we could start with front or top. I don't think it matters too much other than what I've just got kind of a circular feature but I'm going to assume that the center of that is that it's perfectly been cut off here. So this is going to be just a rate 110. And then I've got the inner slots is 60 by 120. Cut through there. Then I'll see these ears that come out they're 30 millimeter high. And then yeah, they'll just go tangent to this outer radius here. These lines will end up being terminating where they're tangent. So they're slightly curved to follow the radius of that the outer radius here. There'll be a slight curve here. Yeah. Anything else that I'll see? I'll worry about the holes once I get to the top. So yeah, I think I've got a good plan here. I think I'm just going to do some visible line work. This is my midpoint here. So I think I can pull this up. That's 110 radius. So it's pretty all right. And then it's going to have a little line here that is 120, or I'm coming from the center. So I'm going to say 60. And it's going to go up 60. It's going to go over 120, then go down and back to center there. It's definitely with the trim that out, right? Then at 30 millimeters up, I'm going to get off my trim command, but 30 millimeters up, I'm going to have the ear and how it would look. It would, maybe I'll come up here 30, cursor over 30, and then it's going to terminate right there, right? Then we'll come back and around. Then it will pick up on the bottom surface, go back here. So it's kind of what one ear would look like. And the same over here. I could mirror that over though, if you've done some drawing like that. Get used to using that mirror command because this one is a good mirror command option. There's a lot of stuff that is, I mean, it's symmetrical from left to right and from back to front. Oh, sorry, I did that. I want to do that again. Sometimes I exit my mirror command too soon. That. And then I can tell I haven't hooked these. This should be a visible line where it goes to that center. In fact, this one should not be there. So I can actually delete this one out. There should be no visible line there that I kind of misdrew. And but it would be from here to here. That looks better. And then I can just toggle off my construction layer for a minute. That's definitely what the ear would, where this little piece would look like, fixture cap. Heck yeah. Let's project up. I don't know, I'm just projecting up those. That's the edge of the ear, but there's also this one that is really the diameter right here. This is round and this is the rectangular view, this diameter. And so this is really these two lines are close together. I'll project them both up. I just want to keep track of both of them. They're really close together, but they are two different projections. The kind of the bottom of that ear where it meets the radius and kind of what this is probably going to be what I'm going to visibly see, and this other would be more hidden there. And initially, when I started this, I kind of wondered if my imagery showed a hidden line there or not. So I'll look up, and then I think the only other thing I'm really gonna project up is this little slot width that's cut out. So a few projections. And where it is symmetrical from front to back, I feel like I could draw in half of that shape. Maybe that's not any easier than just drawing it. I think I may draw half of it over here and mirror it across. Um, rather than draw half of the front and mirror it to the back. I don't know. I just feel like for me, it just makes more sense, but you could do it either way. That I'm just going to draw the circle and trim it with the little circle, probably half here to that hole and then mirror that. Probably not with the hole, but I'm going to mirror over and then add the hole in the center later. So what that would look like to me is maybe I don't know. It's going to look like for sure. Maybe I'm just going to lock in. I don't know. Could start this anyway, but like really the diameter of this would be right here across, but it's not going to be. I'm going to put it in as visible line, but I'm probably going to trim this or change this to hidden. But really the diameter of this in the top view is like right here. That's that 200 and this should be 220 millimeters across from there to there. That is the true diameter, 220, that was given it gives it as a radius of 110, but that means the diameter is 220. So I like to keep track of that's just the main overall diameter. And from there, it would really be a solid surface that I would see from there to there, from on the back side and on the front side here. And this is just the way I work a little bit, is that I think of how this whole feature looks in the top view, and what I projected is kind of the ear that's going to be in the top view. So now look at that feature is just I've kind of got the main cylindrical feature that looks rectangular in this view traced around. There is a hole in the center, and so I can come back to that. But and I might delete some of this and just mirror stuff across. But for sure, what I want to mirror across is the shape of the ear. And so I look at this, I'll say that it is a radius of 60. And it's on center here of part. So this is symmetrical part down. If I was to slice it down through here from left side to right side, it would be symmetrical front to back. And it just helps me place this ear in the right spot. I just need to come like 60 over, and the hole in the ear and the radius of the ear are going to be concentric in this case. You find that relationship a lot in part manufacturing. It's a little bit assumed here, not for sure, but yeah, they are concentric. So 60, I'll come over 60 from the center and put a something to construct off of. So maybe I'll do a construction line here from center. I have a midpoint, I think, of this. Yep. So I can cursor over here. I can just draw this line from midpoint over 60. That's where the circle is going to be. Those concentric circles. One of them from there has a radius of 60 like that. Yes. And then it also has a hole in it. I didn't look at the hole size though. It's is it given? Oh, 40 diameter. Typical. So that's a 40 diameter. So I can do it by diameter right here. 40. And then what it has is it would be tangent from that radius to this point here, or actually clear to this point. I'm going to see the ear as this line that's a little bit less than the actual diameter of the cylindrical part. My ear is going to terminate there just because of what's going on here in the front view. This is going to be a visible line that I see, which is slightly less than the full diameter. So that's where I'm going to draw my line clear to there. So I'm looking for a tangent here. I could do quadrant, yes, but really what I'm really looking for is a tangent line on this. And then I want to stay perpendicular to this. So maybe I need to make sure that my perpendicular object snaps are on. They are on, but it's funny, it doesn't really want to tell me where perpendicular is. Maybe I'll force it to, like I'll shift and say perpendicular or something to this line. Even if it looks like I'm not going to do that right, I should snap this and it should snap it where it is, right? Like that's weird. It shows that it wouldn't be perpendicular because I'm forcing it to be tangent and perpendicular. It will put this thing should make this a 90-degree angle here. From there to there, 90. Yeah. And I think I'll do the same trick here, is that I'll do shift select tangent there and then shift select perpendicular. So this is how I can force it, like I said, it's going to force itself to go straight over just by the geometry that I've chosen there. we're going to be doing more of that kind of work in the future here when we actually draw parametrically. I keep promising you this, and it's going to come that I love this tab, and we haven't even used it yet. It's the parametric tab. But what I'm kind of doing, like, let me just go off on a little bit of a tangent here. What I'm doing when I picked, hey, it's a tangent that I'm talking about. So it's a tangent on a tangent here. It's like we're going into the Twilight Zone here. Hang on. My tangent is going to be that what I've done is by picking those object snaps tangent to a perpendicular, I could call those constraints. I'm constraining that geometry that I just drew to remain tangent to that circle and perpendicular to that line. And if I ever, when we start using this parametric tab, I don't know if they ever use this in architecture or not, but if I had my choice, and I think I've probably mentioned this before, I would even draw the way I'm drawing now. I'd probably just use my parametric ribbon menu and I would draw everything. I draw my geometric shape with constraints that make them, they force them to maintain, uh, like I can force them to remain and give them dimensions that can be changed, but I can actually draw something by actual dimension that's locked in unless I go into a kind of a spreadsheet that it'll build for me, and then it has a place where I can manipulate the lengths of stuff. But I can also geometrically constrain things. And so when we get to this, these are really related to 3D modeling is why I love this so much. When we get to drawing an inventor, we're going to be drawing before we ever draw an inventor, we're going to draw in CAD using kind of inventor-esque constraints to our geometry and our lengths. It's just a more powerful, it's a little bit of front loading. It's like front loading your model to be like way more adaptable in the future. If you think of this, if this part changed the way I'm drawing it, I almost have to change everything like one by one. There is no like there's no relationship for the most part. I could click and drag any of this stuff away and I could mess up my drawing pretty easily with just clicking in the wrong spots, grabbing wrong grips, moving stuff that I didn't mean to move. So what I mean is the way we're drawing is kind of prone to be, it's kind of accident prone. And if I actually draw parametrically, I can minimize accidental movement of things. And if things really need to stay geometrically aligned and linearly the correct lengths, I can lock those in as constraints, and then it can't be moved unless I'm moving it systematically for with a purpose. So it makes a more powerful that's parametric modeling is what it is. So, okay, there's my tangent. I'm over. Just get ready. It's coming in the future. Hold on to your hats. Everybody hates it. I love it. Not everybody hates it, but I got to trim this up to look like my ear. So I drew that back to there. And then where that met this is actually going to be the visible line I'm going to see is right there. So what I have is a little bit of redundancy. I don't feel like this is going to be a visible line here. It's kind of going to be a hidden line. I just don't even know if I included it on my other imagery. So right now I'll show you. I'm gonna do some trimming. I need to trim out this and this. I just need the part of the radius that is goes tangent to that line. Like that's already starting to look better. And then this really doesn't exist here or here. But the argument could be that this might be hidden, and I think that's a good argument. I just don't know if I've included on my other. So if I push this particular line that I drew as visible line, maybe I'm going to push it over here to my hidden line. Because that's kind of this surface that would be on the bottom and where the ear meets. I think I'm going to omit it because it's not really clear if you would have, I mean, where this surface meets the surface of this, it could be blended out so good, or it could be a uniform shape, right? We don't even know what material this is. So it could be 3D printed plastic for all we know. And then it really wouldn't have this hidden line. So the argument is if there was something going on here, that there was a separation of surfaces, maybe I would have a hard line there that would show up as a hidden line. But I think in this case, there's probably nothing there. It's going to look like those surfaces blend together if I could actually. So I'm just going to delete it out. I just wanted to show you the difference in those two and what I can actually see in the top view versus where that would actually be in the bottom view. Oh, I shouldn't have deleted that though. You guys should have stopped me. This will come out right here because this is the real. That is the real part edge of the cylinder shaped part that comes back to the back and back to the front right here like this. Right. So that'll definitely be what the ear looks like. I'm going to mirror that stuff across though. Mirror this partial, and I haven't joined these at all. That would speed it up a bit, but that's okay. Just mirror that. I don't have this line over there either. I'm going to mirror that. And I don't even have these little chunks. I'm going to mirror those over there. I'm not going to mirror that other one across though. I have it over there. I'm probably going to delete that out. I'm going to remember to delete that out because I'm going to get a little bit of overlapping line over here, visible line over visible line. I'm going to be sure that I remember to delete that visible line because it really could be hidden, but I think I just determined it's not even hidden either. So mirror this across. So I right click all those or I push enter and then I pick a mirror line, which just needs 2 points. Don't erase that source object. And I told myself I'm going to remember to delete this line so that I have this shape. I'll take a look at it without the construction material here. Something like that. Heck yes, that's what that ear looks like. I think that looks cool. It almost makes me think 3D when I see that's going on. So 3D on 2D. I need to put a hole in the middle though. I think it's in the middle. It's this little 20 diameter millimeter hole on center. So I don't know that, but I could pick the geometric center to put that. This part has a geometric center. If you have that O snap on, geometric center right there. I like it to be on. It looks like an asterisk symbol or something. But so here's my circle. I'll do circle by diameter. Sure, it's 20, but I should be able to kind of reference the shape and then come in here to the middle. Maybe there is no geometric center that's going to show up for me because I've been chopped maybe. So maybe it doesn't. Maybe if I shift select it though, where's my geometric center? Doesn't want to pick up. So that's okay. I'll just put some a crosshair in here, just a simple line on center. There's the geometric center. I don't know. It's funny it wouldn't show up when I needed it. It wasn't there for me. Now it's there. That should have been just some construction line work. And now I have something that I can snap a 20 millimeter circle to. I think it's 20 in diameter. Yeah. Heck yeah. Looks good. Just need some center lines. Center marks, center lines. Yeah. What did I put on here? Hidden lines too. Does that inner bore? I haven't done that yet. So that's, and then the hidden lines down below. So I've just got to do some projection for hidden line work. That sounds right. I'll just do those projections while I'm in here. These ones come down and across. And the other ones come up, right? These lines. I've already projected those up. So I'm ready to kind of go to hidden line and trace some of this. This I should have traced over with hidden line, but I haven't yet. So trace that. And we'll come down here and trace these ones, the hole through here. I'm going to zoom way in here. Don't snap this clear to the top surface, right? Because my eyeballs on the top view only see the very apex 12 o'clock point of tangency there. Technically, this hole can't extend beyond the actual material. This is, hidden lines are actually visible lines, just not in my view. And so they should not extend beyond what the actual part can be here. So that one I've got to zoom in for and really pick this kind of critically here. There's where the hole goes down and through. And this one is not, these ones are a little bit more normal. They're just through there and there. And you could mirror this stuff over too if you wanted. Like that one could, these two could be mirrored across if that's faster. I think the more you get used to like mirroring, probably the faster you end up becoming. I mean, you could have done everything and then mirrored all over like that. That would be legit. Like somebody just might be like, I'm just going to put all the center marks, hidden lines, and do everything, and then I'm going to mirror half that over, and that'd be all right. And then that's hidden, hidden, hidden. Those are good. I just need center marks, I feel like, on my center line layer, on my break short layer. Center line layer with marks. I have marks and center lines I can do. So definitely that one. And this one here is going to be a little bit littler. And I'll probably just copy this one over. So maybe I'll just do these are all 6 millimeter extensions, right? 6 millimeter is the equivalent of quarter-inch extensions. And maybe I'll match the properties from this one to this one little guy. Probably going to end up pulling these. I'm probably going to end up now I'm thinking about this. Probably going to eliminate that one and pull these two together. I'm going to copy this one over, or you could mirror it too. Copy is kind of functions like a mirror, but I think I'm going to copy this one over here to this one. But I do think I'm going to actually eliminate this one. I think I'm going to delete it because I'm going to just make these two reach out and touch them each other here. So this one, I pull these to the center a lot when I do this from the square grip. And I get a little bit of overlap. That's okay. Something like that. And then I think I'm going to put in a line that is this, I'm going to cursor up here, 6 millimeter. And then I'm going to click and then go down here. Then maybe I'll just stretch this one 6 millimeter there. So I think I'm going to do that. It just shows this is good horizontal alignment between all of those features actually. Technically now I don't even like that. I'm going to change this now. Watch. Sorry. Now that I see, I should have gone out to the full radius. I should have made this. This is just how life goes a little bit. I should have chosen this one, I think. This is going to be happier. And I still have to change these now. And then I can match those properties to here. And I still want to reach these out and touch the center here. There. Now I feel like I've just got better. I've got better vertical and horizontal alignment. I show kind of really show the radius to the center, that concentric nature of the holes and the radiuses on the part. Then they also kind of are in line with the middle of the part here and middle of the part here. But I still need to add dimension when I go into those locations. Remember that even though I show that alignment, I still need to probably define it. So with a dimension, like, yes, it's good to show it, but maybe I need to dimension from center over to those features just to lock it in. So you show it, yes, but you dimension it as kind of so that nobody can be misinterpreted. I do want to put in these center lines here though. So I'm just doing the center line and then choosing these hidden lines. I'll do those. And then I'll change one and match its properties, but they're there right here. I'll change 1 to 6, and then I'll match those properties. And I could argue that if I'm going to dimension this center line might become extended beyond where it is as I go to dimension because I can center lines are great datums. They're great places to control size and location, and they're great places when we further place control on our parts, sizes and shape, and how round and how flat and how true it needs to be. We can use our center lines for those purposes too. So they're great for dimensioning locations, but they're also great for control of part form in the future. So center lines are super powerful. Okay. I feel like this is probably done with construction and ready to dimension, ready to probably look at it on my sheet and I can start to worry about line type scale here or not. I mean, you can do that now because it's not going to affect my dimensioning anyway. So I can adjust line. I'm on my sheet. I'm sized accordingly. I'll turn on my annotation objects. Remember, if your dimensions are annotated objects, so make sure on your status bar that they're set to auto update and they're set to show themselves. One thing to note is when you have a view like mine that's locked, even though these are should automatically update and they should show the dimensions. Sometimes I have to flex them, right? We kind of discussed that last week. What I mean by flexing them is, and that's the term maybe that Revit uses when they like build families and maybe somebody's built a window for you and they want you to be able to upload it to your house. And then they want to give you a few controls where you can change a few things. And so, families in Revit are kind of built to be flexed. And so when they build families in Revit, they build them parametrically to where maybe few data inputs are needed to resize a window and everything else will kind of auto adjust for you with just a few inputs. That's the idea of parametric modeling, by the way. I think a window is a great example. Bring in a Revit family window. It's not exactly sized for the one you need, but you can just like quickly change a few of the data inputs and the right size will show up. That's a parametrically built model in a family in Revit. We can do that in Inventor. We can do that in AutoCAD as well. So we can build things that are parametrically can change size with few data inputs. The whole reason why I'm saying this, I can't remember. So let's just there was something about flexing. It was the term flex was what made me think of. Sometimes I have to flex my scale in order to get the text to auto update. So sometimes even though and sometimes when your viewport is locked, it doesn't allow that flex to happen. So sometimes you just have to unlock it, flex it, and then lock it back up. And what I mean by flexing it, it might be once I get my dimensions on here, I may have to unlock it, jump it from a 1 to 1 like this back to 1/2 scale. And that simply doing that sometimes will let your dimensions auto adjust and match the scale that you've got. And you just sometimes have to unlock it and flex that in order for that to appear correct. So just so you know. And I'm going to change line type scales while I'm in here. They're super fine. So I need to make these substantially coarser. I don't know, 15. Is that good? That looks pretty good. That was a total guess. I think that's a good line type scale for the center marks. And then this probably pretty close to the same here. I think I just went 15 as a total guess like that. That looks pretty good. So I think I'll match these other little short sections with that. Yeah, they're breakup just barely. That's good. As long as they show a little breakup, I'm happy with that. Yeah, that's good. And then these are super fine. They look like a solid line. So maybe I'll go up by the same amount, 15, maybe even more on that one. I don't know, 25. Yeah, that's nice. Still fine, but way coarser. So I think I'll match properties on my hidden lines. I think that's 25 that I set actually. No right or wrong, just so you can see it. And I do think consistently, like I might change all those I change to the same, but sometimes I'll adjust a few differently from one view to the next if it doesn't look as good, shorter. But this looks great. I'm happy with this. So that's good. Let's dimension this thing. So I'm going to go into this viewport, put on some dimensions here. Yeah, so I'll just keep recording this and finish this out. And I think that'll be a good place to stop for the day anyway, just finish dimensioning. So I think what I've determined is I like to capture those overall dimensions. So that's always like a width, a height, and a depth. And whatever views those go on can be moved later. I'm going to go to my dimension layer. So there's no right or wrong. Like I say, I'll snap a bunch of dimensions, then sometimes I'll choose to move them to another view. And so, I mean, a grade overall might be in the front view, right? I get this overall 420 is definitely one of the dimensions that I should have there, 420. The overall height is definitely going to be only shown in the front view, so it's got to be a front view dimension. I could go left or right of this, but I kind of get in the habit of even though my right side view isn't there, I get in the habit of pulling to the right more than not. And that's just out of habit, knowing there could be a view there at some point, but it wouldn't be wrong. I guess, it would be just fine to pull them to the left. But like I said, just for my habit, I'm going to pull this to the right like that. Of course, that's not exactly, I mean, that's where I use to reference how long that is, but I'm going to pull these back to the actual object edge, which is clear over here. So I'm just adjusting my extension lines a little bit there. The top one's fine. That bottom one was over. So I don't know if I love how these are, but at least I know I need those 2 dimensions. And the other one I need is the depth of the part. That's only going to be shown in the top view from what I've got here. So I'm going to go up and it's similar to my right side view. I tend to pull to the right more because I view it as being an in-between kind of view. So I think I'll pull my depth of part right here. Just pull it out in a way. That handles my overall dimension. So I'm happy there. At least I've got like kind of overall part size. Now I break this down to kind of like features of the part and their size and location. I feel like I kind of do holes kind of last, and I look at like the features to me now are that this is kind of made out of Could be all one uniform part, yes, but I can view the ears as kind of separate from that cylinder or this or the cylindrical shape feature. So I feel like I have ear features with holes in them, yes, but just their ears themselves, kind of their overall shape. And then I also have a cylinder and its overall shape. And then I have this like inner bore, this cut as a feature and its overall shape. So I just kind of start and kind of work systematically, thinking of size and location. So maybe I'll just start with this the main body of this is the cylinder part. So it's a round feature. And then I ask myself, okay, well, I need to know its size. Well, there's one size dimension. The depth really functions as a size. It's 150 millimeter in one direction. So what's the size in the other direction? Well, it's a round feature. So I can either point here and call it out a radius. Maybe that's good practice. Maybe better is to call it out in its rectangular view is my ASME kind of standard. So that cylinder appears as a rectangle in the top view, and I can put it as a diameter when I do that, right? So I can say that this overall part size here is 120 millimeters, and that should have a diameter in front of it because it is a round feature. So I select in there and choose my diameter from my symbols category and place it in front with no space like this. So that's a 220 diameter. That's maybe better. That's a better practice than the good practice of just pointing out a radius here with a liter type dimension, which would be, I'm not going to do it because it would be a redundant dimension, but so this is not necessarily a wrong, wouldn't be wrong. Maybe it's just a good dimension. This is a better dimension. So that really accounts for that part's size, right? Its size is 150 by 220, and its location, well, you'd be like, well, how do I locate that? Well, it would be like adding a dimension there. Like it would be adding its location to maybe a center line. And so I feel like I could locate this part in space, like lock it down in space with a dimension from this center line to this edge that I'm already kind of using the front surface as potentially a datum, this surface here. And I'm definitely going to start using the bottom surface as a datum. And that's where 110 is kind of being pulled up from the bottom. So I'm going to add for a location on this part in like in model space, I'm going to add this dimension here. It's like located from center out to this front face 75. Now you might be like, well, isn't that kind of redundant? Well, not really. I know it's 150, but now I lock it down that it's 150, but it's not shifted that way 5 millimeters more or less this way, right? Like this now shows that if that part is on center, it's 75 this way, and I don't have to put in the other 75. That's going to be that would be kind of maybe redundant. These two work together to give kind of a size and location now. And I just need to pull those extension lines back to the object edge though. So this one here, I don't want it to be, that's kind of what I'm referencing in reality, that's the part, but I'm going to pull it back to the object edge like this. And so it's 75. And I haven't cleaned these up yet. I'm just pulling them. So that's 75. And I could locate it this way too, right? Like uh, I show center here, but I don't really have a dimension for center. So I feel like I could probably add this dimension. I don't know if this is I haven't gone back and compared this to my drawing to see if I added this dimension, but just me going through it right now, I feel like I want this dimension to be there. I'm going to drag it down a little bit. It was acting kind of funny for me. So I just dropped it and then I moved it where I want it. But this is now 210. So it's kind of located. We've got the size 220, or sorry, 150 by 220. Then the location is kind of 75 up from the front face. And it's kind of coming in maybe from center. I'm actually thinking of this not necessarily as the datum being this point, because I don't love these like big radius datums actually. I'm actually viewing this 210 as coming mostly from the center part over to the edge. That one might not be on my other print, but I do like that dimension. It kind of locates a bunch of different stuff actually. We'll see that in a minute, but I'm going to move on from the cylindrical shaped, but maybe I'll stay with it and say, well, it's got that slot feature inside. Where should I dimension the slot feature? Where I don't want to dimension it hidden in the top view. So I'm going to anything associated with this, its size, which is going to be it's a rectangular type of feature. So it should have like a length and width, or in this case, it would be like a width and height. And so let's do the width and height of this slot as its size. So I think I'm going to pull a dimension here. This is going to be a great place to pull the overall height of that feature is 60. And of course, I've got to pull this back to the object edge here like this, 60. That's about I do that kind of cleanup while I'm going. Otherwise, it just starts to saturate over my visible lines with extension lines everywhere. And then it's easy. This one? What? Oh, these are supposed to be set at 10 millimeter in a metric template, or 0.375 or 3/8 in an inch template. So these will be 10 millimeter. Yep. And then 6 millimeter spacings thereafter. Remember, those are minimums, not they can be more if they need to be. And then I just need the overall, so that's the height. I need the width of that. And so this is where I like the width, and you might say that I'm just going to drop this in here. Here's the width. Well, that's kind of like a size of itself and not in relation to maybe this is good. Like I feel like that's like the size. So if I'm thinking of that feature and its size, I've definitely captured its length or its height and its width. So I've kind of captured its size, but now let's think about its location. Well, a great way to locate this would be from the center line of the part. So the location of this would be, I'm going to drop this center line down to here. I'm gonna drop my grip down to where I'm to the bottom surface with it's got its 6 millimeter extension. The reason why I'm going to do this, I'm going to use this as a location dimension for this slot. It's going to be the datum is going to be the center line of this part, and I'm going to say it's 60 over to that side, and then it's 120. So I need both of these dimensions. One of them's a size, one of them's a location. So this is a location. From here to the center line is a location dimension for that slot. Using really the datum as the center line. I'm not coming from, I didn't want to pull it from here. Like somebody may have done a good dimension and pulled from here to maybe this edge here as a location. It's just that this is what we'll learn as we keep going through that this center line is a better datum than than pulling from this little point here out here. It's not that it couldn't be. Like I say, it could be a good dimension right here to there, and then I'm 120. But this is a more sure way to get my datum or my location, I think. Yeah, this is a better datum. Center lines are really powerful. Just remember that. Like when in doubt what to dimension to, think of a center line. Especially if I have radius features and things that don't have a lot of surface to there's just not a lot of surface associated with the true right side of this part. There's just not a lot of surface there. It immediately goes away from me in a radius. So that's why it's a less good, it's only a good datum choice when the center line's a better datum choice because its surface is so small and immediately curving away. So I should show you a video of like how a part gets I was just oh, as a side note, I was just talking to my brother over the weekend, and he's an inspector for the INL. Mostly does machining type inspections, but he inspects parts to ASME Y14.5. So he uses the whole thing that that's where he goes in and he uses he inspects parts to their prints, of course, and how they've been called out, and then he inspects them to that code. And he was telling me that, oh yeah, we had to inspect one part, and they had to put it in the fixture where it was going to be analyzed. So they have a fixture they might put this in, and the fixtures are like a jig. They're adaptable. It's not like it's only built to hold this part. It's actually made to hold a lot of different parts. It's maybe like a table with these adjustment things that come in and lock the part down. And so you can evaluate a lot of different parts on these evaluation tables essentially. But this particular part had to be at a certain temperature and be held there for 48 hours, I think. So they had to bring the part into the atmosphere, let it climatize for 48 hours before he could do his inspection criteria on it to see if it so temperature was a component of the part's overall size. And that's pretty interesting. I was like, wow, that's fascinating, So it's just that would be a really critical part, whatever they were testing it for. So yeah. So they had to replicate its size according to how it was going to be at its temperature and operation, I think. So that's cool. They don't build handrails on the outside of your buildings are generally not held to those kind of tolerances, right? So there's places, yeah, there's
Your building.
yeah, there's a lot of different inspection criteria, but your handrails at your buildings will probably be measured for the height, and if the spacing of the thing don't allow like a 4 inch ball to, there is a code associated with handrail. There's going to be like maybe I don't have to put it in a cryo chamber and get it like temperature, climate controlled. But yeah, there is definitely still an inspection criteria for sure. So I shouldn't have said handrail because those are kind of critical. There's other things in life that are less critical. But they would just use a measuring tape. So it's pretty lazy inspection, plus or minus a 1/4 inch probably.
4 foot long.
Right, right. Exactly. Yes. Those huge micrometers that are like
Yeah.
probably $20,000 to do one measurement. Yeah, it's good. Put that thing away for 20 years and use it again.
30 sheets and 30.
That's right. I like that. So here we are. Let's see. We have located only some of this. We've got to locate. I feel like I've sized and located my slotted feature. Now I need to size and locate other things. I think I'm going to move. I'm going to move from this. Really, I've just kind of done. I haven't done the circle yet. So if I'm staying with the cylinder shaped part here, I've done its overall size and location. I've done the slotted feature size and location. Um, I haven't done the hole yet. So let's do. I think I will do this as a diameter in the upper view here. I don't want a dimension down here in the front view. So this is going to be a great place to actually put a diameter and pull it out here off the object edge. There's only one of those at that size, so I don't have to add any. That's just one. Now I think of its location, that's its size. The location is going to be 75 is going to work as a dual dimension essentially. It's definitely the location of the overall cylindrical part. Because I have this horizontal alignment, now it's definitely going to be used as a location dimension for the hole as well. It's 75 up to the center. And then how about the width wise there? It's going to be the 210 is going to be a great location dimension for that as well. I know it's pulling from this datum over here. So really, you can think of 210 as being kind of a dual dimension, but maybe it's more critical that it's just shown to be center as the location in that. But either way, I've kind of got a linear measurement associated with it. It's arguable whether that's totally needed because I'm using that right side surface, which I've already discussed is not a great data point, but I'm kind of using it. However, I told you that in my mind, I'm actually viewing that it's more of the datum is the center line, and I'm actually calling 210 out to the edge from center. So I'm actually viewing this particular dimension not coming from right to center, but from center to the right, if that makes sense. It's a weird thought process that I'm trying to get you to develop, and it will make sense more when we talk about GD&T controls, but I'm softening the blow of how horrible that is to think about as we just introducing it in every project I do, essentially, because it helps me determine size and location. But long story short is I think I'm good to move on from the actual size and location of that little hole. Now let's move to the ear themselves. So if let me just think of the overall ear size and not worry about the hole yet, but just the size and location of this. So the size, well, it's got some radius. I need to call out a radius feature of it. That's definitely one component of its size. So I might even pull up the radius. It's not going to be great to dimension that down here in its rectangular view. And radiuses are the ones that generally fall under, they're going to be probably used as a leader line like this. And there are two of these radiuses though. So I am going to add this as a 2x, 2 times 2x, right? Capital there though. With a space only between the two. 2x of that radius. That's at least the radius of the ear size. Now I think I should put in the overall depth of that ear. And I think that this is a good place to do that. I'm pulling dimensions over this way. So I think yes, I could pull them over here to the left, but I think I'm going to stick with the linear dimensions over here. So what I need is this overall ear size is 120. I get some crisscrossing. When I get this crisscrossing, I'm going to come back and clean that up, and I'm going to definitely put a break in the extension line and keep the dimension line solid. So that's always whenever I have this kind of a crisscross pattern going on, I'm definitely going to break the extension line, not the dimension line. when it's two extension lines over the top of each other, it doesn't matter which one I break, which is what's going on over here. These are extension lines crisscrossing. I could break either one of those. Sometimes I'll do like the same break in the same view. So if I'm going to break this one, if I'm going to break the horizontal one, I'm going to do it on both of these where they cross. Or if I'm going to break, sorry, the horizontal one. If I'm going to break, then I would break both horizontals. If I'm going to break the vertical one, I'll do it on both of these sets. But anyway, we'll get to that. That's a final cleanup step too. And in some cases, it's pretty not totally needed because there are prints out there that would show this and leave it. So it's not like you have to break it. I don't think in any of my rubrics do I say, did they break the, extension line overlap? I would really want to break this one though, because of that dimension and extension line. This is kind of a critical crisscross, but it's anyway. Okay, it cleans that up good. Either way, I like the size. I've got a radius now. Maybe that's a little bit redundant because I could say this is the radius. Well, that would be the diameter, but I think these worked well together to put them both on there. It's not a truly redundant because it's not the exact same dimension, but it's that a person could figure out what the diameter that is with that. Here I've done the math for them already. And really I'm actually going to do that width, and then I'm also going to give it like a location. Um, so now I'm thinking of I've got the part size kind of. I don't have its thickness. I think this is where I'm going to put its like thickness or its height. So if I'm still thinking size of the ear, I'm thinking size is that plus that kind of. Those two are one size. In the other, and I haven't really sized them this way yet on the x-axis kind of in the top view. And I also haven't sized it this way. So I've really got two more size things to think about. This is definitely one of the sizes. And it's the only place it shows up. It's probably going to end up being my most intermediate dimension there. That's why I really haven't established one yet until I get them. There's another one that I add there. There's a size. And then the other size would be kind of this way. Only it's weird because if I pull this dimension here, it's really not, it's kind of a size. It's like this, it's like the top size right here. And then it's also, but the bottom size has a different size associated with it. This length and this length. And I kind of think to myself, do I need those, or do I just need maybe how far it is from center out to there, which I've already kind of captured with 210. So I kind of capture its size by saying it's 210 from center out to its edge. So this one now starts to function as a size, or as kind of a, yes, as a size in a way. Let's see if I've added anything else that captures that size. If I look down here, I've got 60 and 75, 120, 150. Yeah, that's going to these ones are going to come in when I start thinking about the holes. But really, I think that I didn't even add any sizes that way. And see, I like that I've added the 210 that I was missing here. 210 helps me associate that with a size. It's like from center, it's going to come out this long. And so whatever these lengths are, I don't really matter. They just need to be hit tangent and be there. And so as long as I'm holding that 210 and 420 overall, it's kind of the size. Yeah, I think so. I think that's a little bit of a gray area of how, but I'm gonna keep this and call it its size. Its location is again kind of the 75, like it's the center of the radius of that ear part. And 75 is now working almost three different like locating dimensions. It's kind of an ear location, and it's kind of the whole location, and it's really locating the cylindrical part this way. So that 75 is doing a lot of work here. It's carrying a lot of locating. And so I think I'm going to move on to just the holes. And I think I'm going to put the other hole diameter, in this case, over here and call it 2 times. Because there are 2 holes here. So I think I've got a 2x space going on. I think I'm just about done. I just need to worry about its location. So I chose to locate those holes. This is a nice clear view of the holes. I could locate them down here though. I do have a center line I could locate from. So it wouldn't be wrong to come down here and locate the holes in this view. Only I can only locate once. I can only locate center to center here. So I'd only get one locating dimension. The other one would have to come up here, which I kind of already have with the 75. It's also going to grab the location of these in that direction from this front face surface is 75 and 120. Yeah. So all I really need is kind of this like a location left to right in the top view. So I'm going to use my center line. I'm going to pull from my center over to the center of whole. So I'm going to do one. I'm going to actually do both of these. So this is going to be one location. Maybe I have to drop it kind of funny and then come back and fix it. It's going to be in kind of an intermediate dimension. I definitely get extensions over dimension lines there. These will pull back. And this one's already pulled back to the edge, yes. So that's the location here. And then I could do one more location from hole to hole center. I think I've told you that's a good dimension to have, especially if it's a critical hold. I think on my one, I ended up just adding this one to the other hole location. And that shows, snap the wrong one. If that happens to you, it happens to me too. But it should be like this. And now I'm just ready to do a bunch of cleanup. Pull this back to the object edge. So that is locating the hole off center. And it still might be not the end of the world to have like the full overall center to center. I know we could add them up and say it's 300. So I think I probably left it off my one, but it would maybe not be totally redundant to have the center to center also called out in addition to the 150 off each side. I think I'm just going to leave it off because it is this kind of, it's a little bit of a drafter choice. I'm making them do a little math to figure out the hole to hole, but I really have it. And then I also have them each individually located off of center. So I kind of like this one. They're easy numbers to math. If these, I feel like where I would add the center to center dimension is if these numbers were uglier to add together than they are, I might not want somebody to make a mental mistake if they were like 168 or 163.25. Maybe I'm going to then add the hole to hole as a nice clean dimension. I still would want both of those independently to locate each one, the 75 being the other locating dimension. And then I didn't have to put any down in here. And so now it's just a matter of cleanup. And this is all I gotta do before we call this good. So all I gotta do is move everything 10 millimeters away and or the first one. So sometimes so I'll just start doing that. But you guys catch you tomorrow and we'll do probably a couple drawings tomorrow. I'll upload the other one and I think we'll probably finish our drawings a little earlier this week. I kind of think. I think by Thursday we'll probably be done with drawings. But let me know if you see anything that I've missed that I should add, because that can definitely happen. Yeah, what do you think there,
So
Riley?
the large circle on the bottom, why don't you have like the center mark for that?
The large circle here. Oh, like here? That's not a bad idea, actually. Yeah, that's a valid point here. Like if I went to my center mark here, I think that would be um I don't think that would be wrong to add that actually. And if I did that, I would probably pull back. I'd probably pull back the mark to right here, like we've done on one of those other parts. I might not have it like overlapping in this area. So I might have to adjust the center. So if I drop this thing, and then I could eliminate, and then I would ditch this one and be dimensioning to that center mark, right? So it's going to have, yeah. I think you could do it either way. And so I think it's because if it is in there, it's going to be kind of a modified center mark. It would look like yeah, that's a good point. Because you would add it here, but then what I would do is I would go through and tuck this one up. So this one's going to become like the line I have, and then I would modify these ones to almost be kind of away from a 16th from this here, like with no extension. So I wouldn't want them to overlap. I think we did that in one other drawing where I pulled it away a 16th and then turned off the extension. So what it would pick up that I don't have here is a little bit of a horizontal center mark. So I could add that even just without making a center mark. And it might, I think it would look a little more complete if I did, if I come in here with a line and then come over 16th, but that's 1.5 millimeters in, sorry, yeah, 1.5 millimeters in metric is 1/16 of an inch. And then I'm going to come and snap it to there. And then I would pull this away 1.5 millimeter. So this is what I want my center mark to kind of look like when I was done anyway. So I feel like I could either modify that or just add this to what I've got, and it would do the same thing. And then I just want to match those properties probably of this to this. Maybe that's a little too Maybe I need 30 here. I don't know. Yeah, it looks a little bit more like the other one. But essentially, that's what it would be adding in if I did. So I think that's a good point, actually. I like it. Kind of shows that there is a center mark now with associated with that radius. That's a good point. I like it. Good call. This is the one that I would definitely want to be trimming here using my little trim command or my break command here. And whichever one I pick first is the one that gets cut, right? So I'm going to do like that one and leave this one. And that's the best way. That's the, yeah, go ahead, lady. Yeah, it's like definitely there is a rule, but I have to learn how to break the rule a little bit because it's just going to happen like this, I think. So it's not it definitely is a good rule to follow. And I really only did it once, I think, on this whole drawing. Nope, I've got it going on here too. But that's okay. Like I like the rule, and then I've got to know when to break the rule. Yeah, because it just isn't going to work any other way. In some of these. This one's 10. And then when I have two that are lined up like this, I always like to line these up, just end to end. So I'll grab this grip and go like that. And then I do have to trim this one as well. So I'm going to pick, but whenever you do this and you want to use your auto distancing here, just pick one of these baseline dimensions. Don't pick, if you pick both of these, it'll do something like this. Let me do it. And this one. And then I click auto. It jogs the one where I didn't want it to jog. And so when I do this and I use my auto spacing, I just pick one of my baseline dimensions and then I pick that one, and then it seems to serve me better like that. And then this is getting kind of close and saturated there. I might just pull this off just to, yeah. And then I would need to break these as well because this breaks that rule too, Abigail, that yeah, like I want to break this one around this one and keep my dimension line. Yeah. It's like I try to avoid this, but you can see in this circumstance, I really can't avoid it. So then I'm really selective on which one I want to break. And I don't want to break the dimension line. I want to break the extension line like that. And I feel like that's more critical when I am breaking that rule, that I show that. And it's less critical for me to do them here. These ones get a little bit annoying, especially if I have multiple dimensions. It's hard to get them all to break clean around one. So sometimes when I do this, the way I'll choose to do one is if I have a single selection to break around two, it's easier for me. So in this particular case, I'll do that. I think I've cleaned up all those. So let me just clean these up before I do that break. But I just drag these down. And when it's close like this, I just drag like that. Yep. And then 10. That one's spaced, auto space that one to this one. And maybe I'll slightly pull that off. And then this one I haven't spaced either yet, so I need to space this one. I think I'm going to be able to fit it in between, so I'll drag it back to here, and then I'll drag it to 10. And then I'll space these other ones. This is my base. This one is the other two. Use my auto 6mm. That looks pretty good. I don't love where my dimension is in those. I think I'm going to drag this one up and get this one out of alignment with that other like that. Just a little bit of an adjustment. Oh, this one here too. And then we'll go back. Well, while I'm here, I can break these. But I think this is going to be the easier way to break. There's only a single extension line this way, and there's a single extension line this way. There's two extension lines over the top of each other. So this one's just going to be easier to break. This one around these ones like that. And then I think I'm going to do the same thing here. That one around that one. That one definitely less critical where it's extensions over extensions, but. And then this one. And that one's 10, right? And then this one is going to be spaced to breaking. You select the one you want to cut first. So it is an order of operations thing. When you select that, it's like, and that's not real clear. It just says select dimension to add, remove, break. I don't know why it confuses me to read what's going on. I just have memorized that the first one I select cuts, the second one does the cutting, kind of. Yeah, yeah. It's just a memorized thing that I've learned the order, but this I think is pretty close to where I'd go with this. Yeah. I'm gonna save that. So I've added a dimension or two, but mostly I have them. I broke a few rules, but I was strategic in how I did it. I broke it for clarity's sake more than anything and for locating. I don't think I have to put the 15 one in there. I think I'm gonna capture that. And maybe I'll double check that real quick on mine. Yeah, I don't think I even had to put it just because I have it kind of figured out that it's 150 and 120. So if I go back and look at this, the reason why I don't have to put in the 15 is because I'm 150 overall. I'm 120. My 120 is kind of centered on the part. And so I'm really to do the difference of those. So it's like not a critical hold for me. It's more critical that the part is centered. That's why I've chosen these dimensions. Those are going to fall into place because it's just the difference of 120 to 150 split in half. So that's 30 divided by 2 is 15. So it's going to fall into place. And one reason might be that's not a critical dimension to even put. A part, the part's purpose usually is what makes what dimensions are more clear than others. And so in this case, I'm like, I don't know if the 15 is really that critical, but I know that I'm able to figure it out. And actually, I feel like what's more critical is everything is centered up and like symmetrical on itself. And my dimensions have captured that. So the 15 will just fall into place if I follow the rest of these dimensions. So heck yeah, let's call this. And I'll post this up. It's just a single